What's up, fellas? In this video, I'm going to do a quick review of a solder that I bought the other day, but the main purpose of this video is to kind of reach out to the YouTube community and the DIYers out there and ask you guys to share your experience with certain types of solder in the comment section. Now, I had some pretty good success with a goop glue review video I posted years ago. Some of the information people left in the comment section is gold. Like, I learned about the whole baking soda super glue thing. They call it piranha glue in Australia, I believe. I think Mescal told me about that. And just stuff like that. So I think it'd be interesting to take the time to accumulate some information regarding solder that you've used in your past experience. Now, to date, the best solder I have ever used, that flows the best and sticks on the most things, you know, the different types of metals that is the Oda 6040 tin solder. But tin lead, I mean. But lead solder is toxic. You can't grind on the parts after if you're building something and you have to do some grinding subsequent to soldering, that's just out of the question. It's also very weak and has an extremely low melting point. But I have found a substitute that flows nearly as well, and it's called Lennox. It is a copper tin alloy that melts at 435 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is probably the best solder I've ever used. Unfortunately, I ran out of it the other day, right in the middle of a build. Right in the middle of a solder joint, to be more specific. So I ran out to the store and I bought this Burnomatic metalwork solder. It's just a pile of crap, and I'm going to share that with you in this experience and kind of warn you as a consumer whether or not you should purchase this product. It might work for you, but for me, I don't have time to completely grind down and clean every part, and that is what's required of this specific solder. Whereas a really nice solder with a good flux chemistry doesn't need that. You can almost solder fresh parts right out of the bag together without any sanding or anything, and you'll be just fine. That's been my experience anyway. Now, these are just for DIY applications. Any commercial or industrial applications would of course require you to clean every part, or residential for that matter as well. These are just projects I'm building. So at any rate, leave any of your experiences in the comment section and let me know what your favorite solder is and what you use it for. A lot of you guys may be using this stuff for electrical. I'd also like some information on your rosin cores as well. So I had a lot of success with the last video when we did this, so hook it up, fellas, and let's see how much information we can accumulate, because comments are often a gold mine when it comes to information. Every once in a while you'll get that one guy that really knows what the hell he's talking about, and you can tell. So let's give this a shot, and I hope you enjoy the footage I put together regarding this Burnomatic metalwork solder, which is going on my do not buy list. I'm going to make a playlist of products that I don't think you should buy unless you really know what you're doing with it. What's up, fellas? Doing a little review on solder today. I was unable to replace my Lennox solder. This is a lead-free solder. I do not know if this is silver bearing or not. However, I can tell you that this solder right here is the best solder I've ever used. And I was unable to replace it. I'll get to that later, but today I'm going to do a quick review on this Burnomatic metalwork solder. I'm pretty sure I used this stuff once before and it was horrible. I do like the 430 degree Fahrenheit aspect of it. Now it says silver bearing. That's kind of hype in my opinion sometimes, because the fact they didn't give us the actual ratio is kind of ticks me off a little bit. It's a little bit fraudulent in my opinion. Secondly, silver solder is not all that great stuff to work with. It's the silver solder I've used in the past is an actual pain in the ass to use. You gotta have really high heats and all that stuff, I know, but today we're just gonna do a quick little solder joint on this spud. And I got one other spot. I was actually even thinking about hitting this with some solder, even though it might damage my relief valve, because I don't think Teflon tape's going to seal that bad boy. So I just want to see how this stuff does on a quick joint, and so yeah, let's check it out. I've got an absolute mess going here today. kind of think I need to put a needle valve on here instead. I'm on the fence. So, if I... Alright, I'm sorry for the mess, fellas. I hope you can see that okay. I am in the heat of the battle right here. So, I have got every tool I have needed today on this table. It's going to be quite the cleanup. So here we go. This is the metal work. Burnomatic. Last time I used this stuff, it was horrible. It's acting a little better this time around. It's got a nice flow to it. Now I have used a lot of solders too, and I've done a lot of soldering in my day. I'm not a plumber, but I am a fabricator. And it's disappointing I couldn't replace that Linux solder today. That stuff is amazing. And it doesn't claim to have silver in it or nothing like that. It's just straight up. Okay, yeah, this stuff's a little bit problematic here. Lead solder would have just... Now the reason why you see me just keep stabbing it with solder is for two reasons. I'm doing something called abrading, which is actually physically scraping off any oxide layers. And secondly, we're introducing more flux into the area. That's the main purpose of that. I know it looks like I'm wasting solder, but I'm actually washing the part as we go by doing that. The reason why I didn't just do a standard compression fitting on this particular thing is because after using this stuff for so many years, I've come to the conclusion that it's just not good for anything over 30 some PSIs. It's really not. They leak damn near no matter what you do, and it just gets old. Putting a bunch of machinery together and then walking through and tightening up 4 or 5 of these things, that gets to be a real pain in the ass, especially when you're pumping, you know, caustic solutions or stuff like that. So I just solder them anymore. I don't even bother. They leak, especially if it's a gas. This is just some Menards hardware here, you know. This stuff isn't, it's not all that great. Maybe you can get them to work, but I can't. So, I don't know. It didn't do too bad. Haven't tried it on steel yet. I will go ahead and get a clip of this stuff working on some steel here later on. But yeah, for that, it gave me a little problem on the bottom. Oh, wait a second. I spoke too soon. Take that back. I'm not liking this solder. See that right there? It didn't join. Now I know I didn't clean that part or nothing very well, but I did give it a little brush. Typically, a standard like lead, a 60-40 solder, just has no problems whatsoever adhering to parts. Yeah, that's a pretty horrible flow right there, guys. Sorry. Yeah, that is just a piss poor flow. This, yeah, it's working the same way it did last time. So if you're interested in picking some of this up, okay, this stuff's definitely going on the don't buy list. Yeah, lead, some good lead acid would have sealed that bad boy up right quick. So no, failed the test. Failed the damn test. I'm never buying this stuff again. If you want some good solder, fellas, this is the stuff. Now, I don't go lead-free for environmental reasons. My purpose is health concerns. Sometimes I have to do a little machining on stuff that I build, you know, and lead particles are just not a very fun thing to breathe in my opinion. So I've been staying away from the acid core lead solder, even though it is probably the best flowing solder there is, and that's why it's still around. For instance, this stuff right here, some 60 lead, 40 tin. This is where is that made? Hecko? Anyway, this is some pretty good solder. But like I said, once you get it on the parts, you're done. You can't grind on it or nothing. And it's very weak, very susceptible to heat shock, very low melting point. So I've moved on to this stuff here, and I'm just amazed how well it works. However, no store carries this. So I'm going to put a link in the description of where you can get this. And I'm also going to buy some off of Amazon. And I'm going to do a little solder showdown to see what is the best stuff. Because it'd just be nice to know. I've always wanted to know what is the best solder. And over the years of using a bunch of junk, I am now in a position where I can provide that information. I'm going to be doing the same thing with these cutting discs too. I came across these really nice German cutoff wheels. This here is called a Duo disc. Onyx. It does stainless steel also. It's a little bit thicker. But I've never seen German cutoff wheels. There's another one. Check that out, man. I'm interested to see how durable they are. This cost 99 cents. Or maybe it was this one. This one was $1. This was $3. So we'll be doing a lot of stuff like that, but in the meantime, I don't think I'm a fan of Burnomatic solder products anymore. They do make a mean torch though. Definitely liking this thing, and it has a lifetime warranty. Got quite a few videos on that also. Okay, I've got a piece of steel here set up. I'm gonna see if I can get a bead ran on this. Should be able to solder on this, no problem, if this is a good solder. I mean, after all, it says Metalworks on it. I'm gonna do some abrading. Okay, I'm starting to get a little bead. The stick there, it looks like. I don't know. Yeah, it's just kind of stopping on me. A good acid core wouldn't be doing this. So it did tin up a bit there. Actually, it didn't tin up worth a crap. Metalworks my ass. Yeah, this stuff's just pathetic. Perhaps a good scratch would have been better. As I said, I know it looks like I'm wasting it, but I'm abrading and introducing new flux at the same time. Yeah, I don't know, fellas. That ain't worth the crap. I did get it to 10, but it's just leaves a lot to be desired. Yeah, it's real picky about where it's wanting to stick. Even with a good abrading, the abrading helps. So we did lay a nice little bead there. Man, that splattered hard. Still just not quality. Fairly poor performing. It will do it, don't get me wrong. It's not a total loss. Not a total loss. Didn't get any action at all on this piece of stainless steel. I didn't even bother recording that. But at any rate, just worthy of noting. You might want to steer clear of this stuff, but if you have to, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's a little bit better than some. It's better than the other acid cores, the non-lead versions anyway. This is still the best yet. So there you have it. Just thought I'd share that with you. I'm going through the process of trying to find out what is the best product to use in these scenarios and then cataloging that information. Now fellas, before you beat me up too bad in the comments, I want you to understand something. What that demonstration showed was that this solder didn't work on a poorly prepared joint. Some of you may tell me that. The reason why I didn't prepare that joint is because I know lead solder well enough to know what it will and will not do, and I can tell you right now that regular acid core solder would have just soldered this stuff up no problem, with no cleaning or nothing. I've had no problems with it. And this stuff, I did clean up some of these parts and it still didn't stick very well. But regardless of that, what I'm trying to say, I guess, is the fact that it didn't do well on a fairly poorly prepared surface tells me that it's not going to do well in some other scenarios as well. You just kind of get a feel for the stuff. This stuff probably won't silver solder metal very good. I'm going to try that real quick, but it's just kind of you get a sense of it. If it does really well on poorly prepared surfaces, it's going to be a good solder. This stuff will do that. This stuff will not. So it's just, I'm not saying that it's the worst solder in the world. I mean, it did work, but you just got to really clean the parts. And let's be honest, who the hell has time to do all that sometimes, especially when you're just building something. I mean, I want to get this damn thing together. I don't have time for all that nonsense, but just a thought on the subject.